Former Deputy National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Southwest, Chief Bode George, says the party may lose the presidential election if the grievances of members in southern Nigeria are not immediately addressed. Chief Bode George says the emergence of Atiku Abubakar as the party's presidential candidate, as well as Iyorchia Ayu's position as national chairman, has altered the arrangement of equity with the founding fathers labored hard to put in place. He is calling on Dr. Ayu to resign before election campaigns start.
In May this year, we elected our presidential candidate in the person of His Excellency Alhaji Abubakar, setting aside the principle of rotation as enshrined in the constitution of our party, in the interest of peace and unity of our party. Today, we are in a situation in which our national chairman is from the same zone as our presidential candidate. Our party members from the South are now asking the following questions. Patently, 1, have we thrown our integrity to the dogs? 2, how will Southern PDP leaders convince their electorate to vote for our candidate when there is no substantial national position in the Southwest? 3, how can we go into election season with this type of division and expect to win the February 25th presidential election? The office of the national chairman must come to the South before we commence the presidential campaign, if victory is to be secured in the next general election. Nigerians will be happy and eager to elect us next year when they see that our national offices are distributed equitably. If this issue is not addressed urgently, it means some members of our party are either working for the opposition or against the interest of our party.
We're now being joined by Chief Bode George, former Deputy National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Southwest, and former military governor of Ondo State. Good morning, Chief Bode George. Thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Yeah, Ruben, a very good morning to you and your colleagues. Morning, always a pleasure to be on air with you guys.
Well, quickly, we'll just listen to that tape of your press conference yesterday. And the impression had been created during the presidential candidate of the PDP's visit to the Southwest that there seems to be a consensus in the South about this inclusion, about Iyorchia Ayu, chairman of the NWC, resigning as a matter of honor or for purposes of balance and equity. But it's also been reported that there's actually no such consensus in the South, not even in the Southwest. The governor of Edo State, Governor Obaseki, has been quoted as saying, if Ayu is forced out, he too will leave. And in the Southwest, yesterday, the Osun State chapter of the PDP in the Southwest issued a statement saying that there is no consensus in the Southwest. That is just the opinion of some people, and that they see nothing wrong, you know, that Ayu's presence is constitutional. And the constitution of the party is also something that the standard bearer of the party referred to at that stakeholders forum in Ibadan. How do you respond to all of this?
No, thank you very much, Ruben. Of course, you know, you will have one or two dissenting voices, but facts are facts. A fiction is a fiction. I am looking at the thought processes of the founding fathers of our party. They gathered together in 1998 and intentionally looked at the problems that had beset this nation called Nigeria. They came out with a suggested solution that we should divide Nigeria into 6 geopolitical zones, because the First Republic, they had the majority tribes had their way and their say. Minority tribes were just onlookers. Same in the north and same in the south. That created that friction that led us to all kinds of coups and counter coups and the Civil War. And the incursion of military into government, it took all those into consideration and came out with this solution that they said, look, let's divide Nigeria into 6 geopolitical zones. And there are also 6 top positions in this country. The positions are the presidency, the vice presidency, the senate presidency, the speakership, the secretary to government, and the national chairman of the party. 6 zones, 6 positions. So every zone will go home with one of these top positions. In other words, you have removed the friction, the anger in people that are we just mere onlookers in the management of our country. So, and that after every 8 years, all the 3 positions in the north will come down to the south. All the 3 positions in the south will go to the north. And if you look at it, number 1 is the presidency. Number 6 is the chairman of the party. So number 1 and number 6 cannot be from the same zone for balancing act. And then look at it. Now the party is woven into the executive, the legislative arm, and the party. It was a brilliant concept. And that was what gave us the opportunity to stabilize this country for almost 16 years. Now, where we are again, going into it, some people came up and said there was no need for zoning anymore, and that shocked me. In fact, the need to have zoning is more important now than in 1999. So I maybe some of these people don't understand the concept that led to the thought processes of our founding fathers. And because it is an unwritten law, it's already a norm, but not written. I hope we will have the opportunity to put it down in writing so that everybody will be able to read and understand it. Those people who are talking, they don't believe in it, they don't want it. I am talking because I had been part of this system from the very beginning. And we have a saying in my part of the world that when you have old people in any association, they always make sure they correct the mistakes of the young one. I am trying to refer us back to that concept that was established, that brought about this sanity in this nation. If you remember, the APC, when they came into government, told everybody, we don't believe in all this zoning. What did they end up doing? What did they end up doing? And now that this thing came from us, and we are now trying to maneuver it to suit certain purposes, certain personal ambition, it's going to drive us to the canvas. That's all I'm saying. And we're not asking that you should be thrown out or be forced to resign. It, in the sense of oneness, in the sense of inclusivity, let him throw in his towel and let us balance the top positions, because we are going to campaign in my zone. We want our party to win. If it's not going to affect the party, I won't bother. But how do I go on the rostrum in Southwest and tell the people that, look, yes, we are ready, we must vote for our own candidate? They must realize that the opposition party the major opposition party, the APC, has its own candidate from the Southwest. How do I face them? Because he will tell them, yes, I have the presidential ticket. What do we have? Now, let's reverse the role. Let's think that all these positions are all from the South. The presidential ticket, the chairmanship ticket from the South. How will our brothers from the North take it? Would they be happy? What is good for the goose is good for the gander. All I am, if they like and say they don't want it, history will be on the side of the truth. And if at this age I can't tell the truth, then what am I doing in politics? What am I doing? And it's not a matter of saying you are forcing her, you are. Remember, Ayu himself stated, and I quote him, that if the presidential candidate emerges from the North, he will resign as the chairman of the party to allow the balancing. And people are coming. People could be running for appointments and running for whatever. Sir. We are saying, let us be mindful. Don't let us overdrive this. How do I convince my people that they should vote for us? What do I have on the ticket? What do I have on the plate?
Right.
Simplicity.
With regards to Senator Ayu's much quoted offer to resign, that statement is now being qualified as him meaning that when PDP emerges victorious in the elections, I'm not sure whether you're convinced by that or not, but I wanted your take on a constitutional roadmap within PDP's regulations for what you're suggesting, which is that you have a new national chairman from the Southwest by September 28th. Is that practical? Is that possible?
It is possible. It is look, okay, let me go a little bit into what happened. In our constitution, like I said earlier on, people decided ab initio that there was no need for zoning. There was no need to even talk about it. We are past the stage of zoning. And our constitution is so clear. Section 7, subsection 3C states, and I quote, we must adhere to zoning and rotation of elective offices and party offices. But when we gathered, and there was a report of a zoning committee, only the party offices were zoned. They left out elective offices. And as a result of that, when we met at NEC, we told everybody that there was need to ensure equity and justice and fairness. The national chairman then set up a review committee. At that review committee, initially, I remember I was a member. The first meeting was very stormy because people were talking about the fact that there was no need for any zoning anymore. Anybody who wants to contest can come out and contest until we showed them this particular section of the Constitution. And we ended in chaos. The next meeting, people were now sober because it was written in the Constitution. And what that portended was that they came up and said, okay, we accept. But you know, in the last 6 months, everybody has been going around and they have been campaigning. There have been so much monetary input into it, a lot of physical input into it. Why can't we be kind enough to allow, at least for now, that everybody should go out and contest? As a result, where you ensure that, because we are all members of one family, let's look at it that way and don't throw the baby and the bird out. Purely on moral suasion purposes, that committee accepted. with a caveat that from now on, 6 months before the commencement of the sale of forms, the party must come out pointedly where each of these elective offices will go. And we said, okay, let us look at it, despite what is in the Constitution. So if we were able to do that, to bring about peace at that time, what is so sacrosanct now that in the interest of balancing, in the interest of inclusivity, in the interest of equity and justice, he can say, okay, let me just bow out with nobility and honor. We're not saying we want to fire him, but based on facts, and to have a seamless campaign, and people will trust us. If he made a pledge that I will resign if the candidate emerges from the north. Now the candidate has emerged from the north. You have broken your pledge. How would the people of this country, the electorate, and they are more in number than those of us who are card-carrying members of the party? So if that is the case, would they trust us? Because what you are doing and saying when you campaign is, please trust us. And we are saying we are on the disadvantaged side. Let us look at this thing holistically. Let's look at it based on camaraderie and see how best we can win the hearts and minds of the electorate. We want to win this election. If we want to win, he who comes to equity must be there with clean hands. That's all we are saying.
Chief.
Who is talking about our constitution? They announced the composition of the national campaign yesterday. Once the national campaign emerges, the working committee becomes ineffective. Because what are they going to be managing? It's now from the end of this month till February and March next year. It's pure time for election. If they don't want to listen to it, fine. But I have said what is the norm and the culture. Yes.
Well, we need to take a short break. After the break, we'll come back to you. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Our guest is still Chief Bode George, former PDP Deputy National Chairman, Southwest, and former military governor of Ondo State, Nigeria. Chief, thank you very much for staying with us. Well, two quick things. The first, I want to take off from where Tundu left it off when she talked about Senator Yochia Ayu. In Ibadan, the PDP standard bearer said, look, it's a constitutional matter. And others have also expressed the view. If you remove Senator Yochia Ayu, what the PDP constitution says is that the person who will take over from him, according to the constitution, must come from the same zone. And the deputy chairman from the north, at the moment, is even from the northeast. So you say, okay, he must stand down before September 28th. Within the purview of the constitution, the person that will take over is from the northeast. So you will have a situation whereby the next person as chairman of the NWC and the party will be coming from the northeast, same place with the presidential candidate. So how do you work around that to achieve your own objective of saying, oh, we need inclusion? Secondly, you refer to the composition of the campaign council, the PDP campaign council that was published, announced yesterday. Will you say that that is inclusive enough?
Now, let me start from the issue of the constitutionality. I referred you that our party constitution explicitly states, and I quote, that there will be zoning and rotation of elective offices and party offices. If we had stuck rigidly to that, there was no chance for Atiku to have emerged as the presidential candidate. Now, so when it suits you, you can refer to the Constitution. When it doesn't suit you, you back away from the Constitution. If we all, on moral suasion purposes, as a family discussion, that, look, people have been canvassing, have been spending money, have been going around for the last 6 months. So, and since there was no definitive selection, whether it should, or zoning, whether it should come from the north or from the south, let us allow this to go now. And the same principle could happen. And like I said, the National Working Committee of the party, yes, is still there. What has that got to do with the price of milk? Once the composition of the national campaign has been stated, remember that it's only the national chairman who will be patently involved in the campaign, unless there is one, if you have one or two members from the working committee who are put in there, it looks murky. Basic question is this: are you interested, based on the facts as enshrined in our party constitution by the founding fathers, for justice, equity of the 6 top positions in the land? You are now referring back to the Constitution and saying, yes, if a chairman leaves, it is true, that is in the Constitution. But if we could accept the issue of the presidential candidate to come from any zone now, which is against what is in our Constitution. So what is good for the goose is good for the gander. And on this premise too, because this is going to create a monumental bridge for us to cross, allow us to now, for this period, because no matter what happens at the end of the election, definitely, whether we win or we don't win, there will be a convention to revisit the whole gamut of these positions. And they are making it look like as if it's a rigidity. We bent the Constitution based on moral suasion purposes for justice and equity to allow all the zones to contest. Now, when it is now the same issue that is still ravaging, to allow the South to now produce the national chairman, you are saying no, it will go against the Constitution, and I'm asking, yes, it is true, it's there. The same thing about the zoning of the presidential candidate. It's there, that there must be zoning, there must be movement, But we abandon that. And because of unity, because of peace, we said, okay, let everybody go and contest. If we are able to do that at that time, what is different now? What is different now? I am saying, take by example, I want to go and campaign for our party in the Southwest. What do I tell the people? They say, wait until after the election. Oh, we should wait until after the election? No. Let's do the same thing we did when we allowed all zones to compete for the presidential ticket. Let's do the same tactics to allow somebody to manage as the chairman. Because what you are going to see now is this. It is the responsibility of the national chairman to present our presidential candidate at every campaign. So what happens? The North, we present the North. How do I convince my people to say, yes, well, there was something, when we win, we will bring this home. They want to know what you are going to do for them. That's the essence of politics. So when people bring all this up, well, let's roll back a little bit to that period when we were discussing the issue of where the presidential ticket should go. And when you said the governor of Edo said he will leave the party, maybe if he understands, like I said to you, I am privileged because I was there from 1998. I saw the way the whole thing was managed. And if I am still alive by the grace of God today, I should be able to explain. And what I'm explaining, some of these people who just joined the party cannot know it. It's a norm. It's a culture of our party. And, there's no need to threaten anybody. And we should not personalize this issue. We should not personalize it. I remember that meeting where we had the zonal revisitation committee. It was purely an appeal that was made there. Some of us stood up and said, please, 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 let's calm down. Let's accept this in the interest of the party. I am saying the same thing again. In the interest of our party, let us accept that. Heavens will not fall, but we want to win the election. What do I guarantee our people that, yes, if we win, this is what we will give you? How would they trust me?
Right,
Simple.
sir. I mean, you've been consistent about this. In April, you wrote a letter to the national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, talking about the importance of zoning, which all appears to have fallen on deaf ears, as your calls more recently for him to resign. What will you do with regards to your membership of the party should Iyorchia Ayu not resign, should he choose to not resign? Because as it already seems, you have thrown your weight behind Labour Party's Lagos State governorship candidate, Bode George, and not your own party. So taken to a logical conclusion, will you be considering exiting the PDP in exasperation? And also, you've just said this is not personal, it's all about the principle of zoning, but there are those who are accusing you of taking this personal and thinking it's because you're a pro-Wike side of the PDP. How would you like to address those accusations?
Oh God. You know, it's people amaze me. People amaze me. What is personal about this? When we met in Abuja on the revisitation of the zoning committee, there was no Wike at that time. Because Wike saw the sense in what we are saying. They are now dividing the line. This is not a good management style. It doesn't help anybody. You talked about Bode George, that is my boy. Yes, he's my boy, but that doesn't mean he's not my direct son. Does that mean I am in Labour Party? Because I would disown him. His father was my classmate. We graduated the same year, over 52 or 53 years ago. Would I now disown him? I can't. How did he leave the party? I am an irredentist member of this party. But what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. For you to say, I have my full strength behind Bode George, that I have only one vote. I have only one vote. What was my contribution to the guy who emerged, Jandor, in our party? What was my contribution? So you should know. So it's not a matter of, all this membership is voluntary. I am saying this because someday, even if we win the election, they will remember that, yes, there was that voice. And it's not a lonely voice. This is not a party issue now. We are talking, how do we convince the members of the electorate? And they are more in number. We want to prove to them that we are responsible, we are respectable, we will be just, we will be fair in the management of this massive country called Nigeria. And that's all. What is the other vested interest? If we win, fine. At my age, what am I looking for? What am I looking for? You're making it look like as if it's a survival instinct. It's 78. What is it that I want? If I can't tell the truth now, then when would I say it? And remember the adage I pronounced when we started, that when elders are there in any community, it prevents misconception, it represents people to make sure that they do not do something that will be catastrophic for that community. That's all. When people, I don't know how people suddenly came up that, oh, it's because you are supporting Wike. Wike has the same point. He has not told the party that he's going to leave because they manipulated him out in the election. That's gone. We're looking forward. What do we tell Nigerians? And if you are still manipulating the mindsets of the people, it's creating a lot of injury for our party. And those who have just come into the party, they may not have any idea what is the custom, what is the norm. They are now quoting Constitution. I remember that meeting, at the NEC meeting. The report of the zoning committee, the revisitation committee, was simple. That, okay, we agree that because nobody announced this zoning at that time for the elective offices, we will allow everybody from every zone to contest for now. But in future, 6 months before the commencement of the sale of forms, they must announce. On that basis, it was an appeal that let's allow everybody to contest. And we are putting it on the same table. Based on this inequality of these positions, please look at it. Let us resolve that for this particular occasion, because you had altered the Constitution the first time to get the presidential candidate, so go one more step. Allow us to have somebody as chairman to run the party. You have 2 deputies, one in the north, one in the south. That is the working committee of the party. It's not the working committee of the party that is going to run the general election. No. It is the committee that has just been established that will be running the general elections. And the moment we finish the general election, if we win, definitely we have to go back to the convention to revisit the party offices. Same thing. If we lose, we will still go back to the party to revisit the elective offices of the party. So I don't see what is so strange in this. People are attaching this onto personalities. It has nothing to do with the price of milk. Just rationality. Simple thing.
Well, on that note, Chief, we would like to thank you very much for joining us today on The Morning Show.